to support other creatives that are doing the same thing. And lastly, we host and produce live events that bring parts of the ecosystem together, which is why I am thrilled about being your MC for today's event. Let's pause for a second and recognize the fact that this is the first time in 50 years that the World Bank and IMF are holding annual meetings here on the continent. Yes, these are historic meetings. And let's also acknowledge the fact that the government of Morocco and the people of Marrakesh are hosting these historic meetings so soon after the earthquakes, showing the resilience and power of the African continent. So let's please, a round of applause for Morocco. And as we are here, acknowledging the role that Africa and African people are playing in the global economic system, we have convened here at UM6P to discuss the power of the creative industries. And so we have to thank our hosts, UM6P, the IFC, yes, the government of Morocco, His Excellency, Mr. Andre Azoulay, the Honorable Minister, Mohammed Mehdi Ben Said, and other government officials who have made this event possible. We have quite a lineup for you today. I heard a rumor about a soccer game going on today, and I know that there may be a few people who are interested in that, but I gotta tell you that this event is going to be better than the soccer game. I was here earlier, and bear with me, I was here earlier, and I have seen and heard some of our speakers, and trust me, you'll check the scores later, but you want to be here. We have a remarkable program. We have producers, content creators like me. We have lawyers, executives, policymakers, investors, all here to talk about the power of the creative industries here in Morocco, across Africa, and around the world. We're going to kick off our program today with a video, the Best of Video of the Arts Factory program hosted by UM6P. Thank you, UM6P. Our first speaker today, Our first speaker today is Mr. Hicham El Habti, President of UM6P.
Your Excellency, Mr. Azoulay, Minister Ben Said, dear valuable IFC partners, guests, and participants in the Voice of Africa, dear artists and young African talents, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and a warm welcome to UM6P. Last Tuesday, I had the privilege of opening the Voice of Africa that UM6P is organizing as a side event of the 2023 annual meetings of the World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund, and where we are honored to be you today. In panels and discussions held since then, eminent experts have tackled issues of key importance to our continent: food security and sustainability, entrepreneurship, the African diaspora, and innovation. On this closing day, we're shedding light on the cultural and creative industries, which are also crucial to Africa's development. These days is a moment of inspiration, of exchanging ideas, and of reflection dedicated to exploring the opportunities offered by these highly important industries for our continent. We can't talk about creative industries, particularly in a university like ours, without recognizing the interconnections between science, research, innovation, and creativity. Albert Einstein said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge, because knowledge is limited while imagination embraces the entire world." Research and science are the pillars underpinning creativity and innovation. Innovative ideas often emerge from the blending of scientific and artistic knowledge. Technological breakthroughs, innovative materials, and cutting-edge methodologies have a major role to play in the creation of artworks, cultural products, and unique experiences. We need to encourage interdisciplinary collaboration, support research in the humanities and social sciences, and build bridges between research laboratories and creative studios. UM6P is committed to fostering this synergy between science, research, innovation, and creativity to catalyze a promising future for Africa. Also, because we are convinced that the creative industries play a central role in Africa's future and are particularly essential for the youth. In 2015, just under 10 years ago, Africa represented only about 1% of the $1.1 trillion global ICC market. Today, several organizations estimate the continent's weight in this market to be between 3 and 5%. ICC represents also one of the fastest growing sectors in the world. Forecasts indicate that this sector of activity could contribute up to 10% of global GDP by 2030. Our continent is bursting with talent, artists, creators, and innovators who are ready to shape our future with their creativity and vision. We look forward to seeing the ideas and dreams that these young people will turn into reality. The creative industries are a powerful catalyst for cultural expression, innovation, employment, and economic growth. They embody our identity, diversity, and global potential. UM6P, as an institution that is committed to academic excellence and the promotion of innovation, is fully engaged in supporting and encouraging the creative industries in Africa. Private sector investment is also an essential link in this chain. We need to encourage businesses to invest in the creative industries, support startups, and explore new forms of public-private partnerships. The economic and cultural payoff of such investment are undeniable, and we need visionary private sector players to commit themselves fully. Morocco is facing a unique challenges and opportunities in the creative industries. We have a rich cultural and artistic heritage, but we also face the need to promote cultural diversity and protect our traditions in the face of globalization. Public policies have a key role to play in creating an environment conducive to the development of the creative industries. We need to simplify administrative procedures, encourage access to funding, and promote artistic mobility. In conclusion, we are at a pivotal moment in Africa's history, where the cultural and creative industries can be a driving force for transformation and innovation. UM6P will continue to play an active role in promoting these sectors, in training the next generation of creators, and in finding solutions to the challenges we encounter. We are delighted to invite you to visit the Art and Tech exhibition, which showcases works from an artistic residency, and to immerse yourself in the white paper we produced, Unleashing the Potential of the Creative Industries in Africa. May today's Voice of Africa side event be at the starting point of a new era of creativity, prosperity, and cultural influence for our continent. I extend my thanks and best wishes for a most creative and promising future for Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. El Habti, for those insightful remarks, and particularly your call to the private sector to invest in the creative industries. With that, I'd like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Sergio Pimenta, the Vice President for Africa at the IFC.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and thank you for being here. My name is Sergio Pimenta. I'm the IFC Vice President for Africa at the IFC, and I'm really excited to be here at UM6P to co-host this event, Creative Industries. I have to say, I was in this room about 3-4 months ago, and it wasn't yet finished. And when I see the progress and I see this room full of so many talent and so many people, this is really exciting to be back. But I would like to start by thanking His Excellency Mr. Azoulay, Advisor to His Majesty the King, to thank His Excellency Mr. Ben Said, Minister of Youth, Culture and Communication, for being here with us today. And of course, I would like to thank Mr. Terab, the President of the OCP Group, and Mr. Helapti, President of the University Mohammed VI Polytechnique, for co-hosting this event and for their leadership and their vision in this industry. Before I say a few words about creative industries, allow me to share our deepest condolences for the recent earthquake in Morocco. We've been profoundly impressed by the government's swift and determined response to the crisis, and holding this event at this time is a testament to the Moroccan government's commitment to supporting its people and keeping economic development plans on track. Our thoughts are with the victims. Let me say a few words about creative industries and why we are here today. Today, we will hear some amazing speakers talk about creative industries in Morocco, in Africa, and beyond, and how we, the IFC, as a development community, can increase private sector participation and support to the industry. So why are we here today? We are here to celebrate these industries because creative industries are a catalyst for development. The creative economy is over $2 trillion worldwide, and this industry accounts for over 50 million jobs, about half of them filled by women. So we at IFC, together with our partners and all of you, we want to help these industries grow, because we want to create jobs, and we want to create new opportunities for innovators, creators, young people, and women in Africa and beyond. That's why at the IFC we've started investing in this sector since we launched our focus in this area just about a year ago. And I believe that with this initiative, we will be the first development financial institution who really takes this industry this seriously and really wants to put financing and support for its growth. As I said, I'm in charge of IFC's operations in Africa, so I will talk a little bit more about the African context and how we are helping the continent reach its sustainable development goals by building up on these industries, including creative industries. We all know that Africa is the youngest population in the world. 70% of people are under the age of 30. And according to some estimates, 3/4 of the people, the young people in Africa, would like to work on creative industry. So let's make sure that we do create the jobs, the opportunities, the economic opportunities for them to do so. Now, when we look at the current status of creative industries in Africa, this industry represents about $4.2 billion, which is a sizable amount, but it's still quite small when we look at the world scale. It's less than 3% of the creative industries worldwide. So we look at the next decade, we feel, for instance, just on the film and audiovisual sectors, we think they have the potential to create over 20 million jobs in Africa and to create $20 billion of revenues. But to do that, this industry needs support. It needs money, it needs resources, it needs skills, it needs effort, it needs expertise, and most of all, it needs focus and support of all of us. But there's a lot of room to grow, and at IFC, we really want to make this happen. We really want to engage in this sector, and we want to foster collaboration between global creative industries and creatives in developing countries and emerging markets. We all see on the world scene so much African talent that is there thriving and succeeding. But we need to connect that talent with the global industry, with the African industry, so that together there's more jobs being created on the continent. So I'm very excited about today's program. I'm very excited because you will hear very interesting panels. You'll hear about 3 major issues. First, about bankable business models for creative industries. You'll also hear about challenges and opportunities for the sector. And you'll also hear about smart public policies to unleash the potential of creative industries. And this third point is important because public and private sectors must come together to develop the sector. And the government on the public side needs to develop the right regulations, and the private sector needs to pick up and make the right investments. So I want you to know that IFC is committed to empowering creativity and to help cultivate prosperity by making more creative businesses possible. So I'm very glad that so many of you are here today, and I really invite you to participate in the conversations that will take place and to share your thoughts and ideas, and to leave this room with more ideas, more opportunities in your head, and to then follow your dreams and follow them up. And we will be here to support you. So maybe I'll stop here. I just want to say how excited I am. I want to thank you all for coming here, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing your voices during the conversation today so that all together we can support creative industries in Morocco and in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. It is clear that Morocco is committed to the creative industries, and with that, I would like to invite His Excellency, Mr. Andre Azoulay, Advisor to His Majesty, the King Mohammed VI.
Monsieur le ministre, Monsieur le Président, cher Mustafa, Monsieur le Président, cher Hicham, Messieurs les directeurs, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs. Je voudrais commencer par vous dire mon immense fierté d'être ici avec vous ce soir, dans cet espace. Je ne sais pas dans quel âge il faudrait le situer, mais qui me rend tellement optimiste pour mon pays, le Maroc. Nous sommes ici au Maroc, à Benguerir, dans un Maroc dont nous avons rêvé tellement longtemps. Et votre université, Monsieur le Président, Messieurs les Présidents, nous donne cette très grande chance de toucher, de vivre, de mesurer ce que mon pays sait faire, ce que mon pays peut faire, et ce que mon pays dit et partage avec tous les autres. Je suis aussi très très fier, et c'est peut-être loin du thème qui m'est proposé, vous m'en excuserez, Monsieur le directeur de la SFI, Monsieur le Président, très chers amis qui avaient organisé ce rendez-vous. Cette réunion, elle est aussi celle des voix africaines. Et quel bonheur, ici à Benguerir, de pouvoir nous rassembler pour dire notre africanité par le très haut sommet de tellement d'autres références et d'autres richesses que notre pays a le talent d'incarner. Ça n'est ni par hasard, ni par coïncidence que ce choix a été fait, moi j'en suis convaincu, par ceux qui ont organisé cette réunion. Et quelle fierté pour le Maroc de donner l'espace, l'audience et la capacité à ces voix de s'exprimer toutes ensemble. Et de s'exprimer sur un espace et sur des disciplines et sur un univers qui est celui de la culture qui, pour moi, a été au cœur de tous les défis que je me suis fixés dans mon parcours. La culture, et ça n'est pas pour moi un gros mot que de l'associer à concept industriel, parce que ça peut aussi surprendre. J'aurais pu être choqué il y a 20-30 ans, mais ça n'est pas le cas, ça n'est plus le cas. Aujourd'hui, tous les biens et services que génère la planète culture, c'est un peu plus de 3% du PIB mondial, près de 6% du total des emplois que notre monde crée, et c'est une immense richesse que cet univers de la culture apporte, propose, invite chacun et chacune d'entre nous. Je n'ai pas d'expertise particulière aujourd'hui pour en faire une analyse scientifique. Je ne serai pas légitime là-dessus. Mais si vous m'y autorisez, je vais simplement essayer de partager avec vous cette culture que j'ai rencontrée dans tous les rendez-vous ou dans tous les défis que je me suis fixés. Et c'est vrai qu'aujourd'hui, au fait même de conceptualiser ou d'intégrer la planète culture à la planète de la production, de l'industrie, de l'économie, est en soi déjà un nouveau paradigme qui va nous permettre, qui nous a déjà permis d'aller encore plus loin. Et ce soir, on l'associe à la notion de créativité. C'est l'industrie culturelle et créative. Et pour moi, en réalité, cette créativité, elle n'est pas celle simplement que, je dirais, la science, la technologie ou toutes les disciplines qui nous permettent de mieux faire, d'inventer et d'avancer, peut ajouter à la richesse culturelle et à toutes les ressources que la culture nous apporte. Je crois que c'est cela, mais tellement plus que cela, et c'est le plus que je vais essayer de revisiter aussi brièvement que possible avec vous. La créativité économique, la créativité technologique, la créativité scientifique, elle est essentielle. Elle a été de tous les temps, sous des formes et à des niveaux de performance divers. Mais pour moi, je la vois autrement. Elle peut ne pas s'expliquer scientifiquement, mais elle est au détour et à la porte de tous les défis que la science n'a pas su gagner ou ne peut pas gagner, et que la technologie ne peut difficilement, je dirais, collaborer à. Nous sommes dans un moment historique de transition technologique. Nous vivons une grande révolution. Une révolution qui est riche d'exceptionnelles promesses. Notre monde est en train de changer. D'autres que moi parleront tout à l'heure du numérique, du digital, de toutes ces technologies qui ont déjà changé notre univers, mais je suis sûr que mes petits-enfants et ceux qui suivront seront dans un tout autre monde qui a été le mien. Et pour eux, comme pour chacune et chacun d'entre nous, et je suis tellement heureux de conceptualiser ou de réfléchir à cela dans mon pays, au Maroc. Au fur et à mesure que nous sommes meilleurs technologiquement, au fur et à mesure que notre monde, notre univers se remodèle, se refaçonne, nous apporte les changements auxquels aucun d'entre nous, il y a encore 25-30 ans, n'aurait osé penser. Mais au même moment, mesdames et messieurs, sur ce qui fait l'essentiel de nos existences, nous connaître, prendre la juste mesure de celui qui n'est pas nous, en nous-mêmes, être ensemble, peut-être même nous aimer ensemble, dans tous ces univers, dans tous ces espaces, dans tout ce que l'humanité qui n'avait pas le degré de connaissance et de capacité de changer et de refaçonner le monde nous a apporté et qui est en train de disparaître, et auquel la science ne sait pas apporter la réponse. Nous vivons des moments, et c'est encore plus vrai et plus fort de le dire aujourd'hui, qui sont ceux de l'impensable, simplement dans la capacité de partager pour tous et de la même façon les valeurs les plus universelles de liberté, de dignité et de justice. On ne sait pas, on sait moins bien l'archaïsme philosophique, la régression morale dans l'art simplement d'être ensemble, elle envahit tellement de rivages. Et elle gagne. Qu'est-ce qui va nous permettre éventuellement d'être un peu mieux résistants, un peu plus résilients et un peu plus conscients des enjeux auxquels nous sommes confrontés? Et là, je voudrais dire simplement que, confrontés à des enjeux sur les mêmes terrains, mais moins existentiels, avec une dynamique qui n'est pas celle que l'archaïsme connaît aujourd'hui, la culture, en tout cas pour ce qui concerne ma très modeste personne, m'a permis, dans beaucoup d'autres cas, de faire que cet art de vivre ensemble, dans le respect de toutes les différences, dans une sorte de culte de l'altérité, non pas comme un problème, et de sa complexité, non pas comme une difficulté, mais comme une richesse, la culture a été pour moi le fil d'Ariane. La culture qui n'est pas simplement celle de l'émotion, la culture qui n'est pas seulement celle de l'esthète. Oui, j'aime les talents que la culture peut nous proposer. Oui, l'émotion d'un concert, l'émotion d'un grand film, l'émotion d'un magnifique tableau de peinture, d'une poésie, d'un livre, sont essentielles dans la vie et le quotidien de chacun comme de moi-même. Mais nous avons été un certain nombre, depuis une trentaine d'années, à lire et en appeler à la culture sur un autre registre, qui n'est pas celui seulement de l'émotion, qui n'est pas simplement celui de l'esthète. La culture, quand elle nous permet d'être capable d'écouter et d'en appeler à toutes les altérités, à tous les narratifs, et en premier avec ceux qui ne sont pas les nôtres. La culture, au-delà d'un concert ou à la suite d'un concert de musique, qui réunit des mélomanes qui ont toutes les opinions, qui sont différents et parfois même opposés. Mais quand on donne la chance à ces mélomanes de se retrouver ensuite pour réfléchir ensemble, de discuter ensemble et de parler de tout ce qui nous sépare, mais avec un mode d'entrée qui est celui d'un concert partagé, qui est celui d'une lecture à plusieurs voix, mais avec une écoute respectueuse de toutes les voix. Cette culture-là nous a permis de remporter un certain nombre de victoires, nous, Marocains, sur nous-mêmes d'abord. Et la culture a fait mieux que les idéologies. La culture, la mémoire, l'histoire, les racines, c'est ça notre capital culturel. Quand on est amnésique, la culture a peu de prise sur nous. Cette culture, justement, dans le registre de l'échange et de la rencontre. Mesdames et messieurs, je suis désolé, je me suis mis comme cela, mais c'est mon habitude, je respecte rarement ce que j'avais choisi de vous dire ou de partager en entrant dans la salle. Et je vais essayer de conclure parce que sinon je vais me faire gronder par mes amis. Mais je voudrais vous dire que dans mon pays, et j'aurais l'immodestie de dire aussi dans ma ville, à Essaouira. À Essaouira est une sorte de théâtre de la vie, mais un théâtre ouvert. Il n'y a pas de scène. Il y a des scènes de temps en temps, mais dans le quotidien, toute la ville est une scène. Nous avons travaillé sur ces thèmes de façon répétitive, obsessionnelle, sans jamais changer de route, pour en appeler à la culture et nous réconcilier avec nous-mêmes. Nous n'étions pas en conflit, mais nous avions oublié, beaucoup oublié, de nos histoires. Et ça nous avait séparés souvent. On a fait parler nos vieilles pierres. À Essaouira, il y en a de très belles. Et chacune avait des histoires magnifiques à nous raconter. Et ça, c'était aussi un engagement culturel que de les protéger pour les faire parler et éventuellement de les écouter. À Essaouira aussi, on a choisi, et Naïla qui est là vous en parlera plus en détail, d'en appeler à la musique, mais sur des chants qui n'étaient pas les chants habituels. D'abord, en créant le festival des Gnawa. On sait un peu, pour les plus polis, je dirais, il y a eu beaucoup de doutes au départ. Ces Souéris sont un peu à côté de la plaque, ils ont choisi la partie la plus, comment dire, pour être gentil, marginale de notre société. Ils veulent en faire un festival pour le monde entier. Oui, comprenez pas. Et en fait, nous n'avons rien inventé. Ce sont les grands musiciens de jazz américains qui étaient venus déjà à Essaouira, au moment où Essaouira était la plaque tournante du mouvement hippie, et qui ont fait jouer les plus grands malem avec les plus grands jazzmen et jazzwomen du monde à ce moment-là. Eux, ils avaient compris. Nous y étions, on ne comprenait pas, ou on ne voyait pas. Donc on a suivi leur chemin. Et là, mesdames et messieurs, la musique, ce festival, qui réunit des centaines de milliers de personnes chaque année, il nous a permis de redonner dignité, leur place, de la reconstruire dans notre société, à cette partie de nous-mêmes qu'étaient les Gnawa. Je pourrais en parler pendant des heures, mais comme Naïla va peut-être en parler tout à l'heure, je citerai un autre exemple. Il y a 11 festivals de musique à Essaouira, toutes les musiques. Et il y en a un que j'aimerais citer. Et dans le contexte actuel, peut-être que je le ferai avec peut-être plus d'émotion que d'habitude, en ce samedi. Il y a un festival depuis 20 ans qui s'appelle le Festival des Andalousies Atlantiques. Il est le seul au monde, parce qu'on l'a voulu comme cela, dont les scènes sont exclusivement réservées aux chanteurs, aux musiciens, aux danseurs, musulmans et juifs. Là aussi, on nous a regardés. On a douté. Nous en sommes à la 20e année. Nous étions 18 000 l'an dernier. Est-ce qu'il y a un seul pays au monde, autre que le Maroc, où chaque année, par milliers, des musulmans marocains, mais aussi d'ailleurs, des juifs marocains, mais aussi d'ailleurs, viennent par milliers, simplement pour le bonheur de se retrouver, pour le bonheur d'être ensemble, pour le bonheur de faire de la musique ensemble et pour le bonheur de débattre ensemble. S'il y a un autre pays dans le monde aujourd'hui où cela vous paraît possible, qu'on me le dise. Ça n'est plus possible à Paris, à Londres, à New York, à Tel Aviv ou à Ramallah, nulle part. Le Maroc l'a fait. Il ne l'a pas fait pour plaire à qui que ce soit. Il l'a fait pour lui-même, parce que c'est nous-mêmes. Et il l'a fait en faisant appel à la culture. Et cette culture, elle est aussi celle de la créativité. Mais cette créativité, elle est celle de la légitimité enracinée dans notre identité, dans notre histoire et dans les valeurs que nos aïeux nous ont léguées. Donc ce n'est pas free lunch. Et ce n'est pas des milliards d'investissement. Mais le retour sur cet investissement et le fait que cela existe donne à ma marocanité ses plus belles lettres de noblesse. Monsieur le Président, cher Mustapha, Monsieur le Président, cher Hicham, cher Xavier, et cher Monsieur Pimienta et cher tous qui avaient organisé cela. D'abord, quelle magnifique idée, et bravo. C'est la SFI et c'est l'université de l'UM6P qui associe aujourd'hui la culture à ces grandes assises mondiales du Fonds monétaire international, de la Banque mondiale. Mais c'est un temps fort ici. Je ne vais pas être insolent, mais sur ce thème, avec cette liberté de pensée, de parole et d'échange que vous nous offrez ici ce soir, ces assises prennent tout leur sens. Sur le reste, c'est formidable que ce soit réuni à Marrakech et chez nous au Maroc. Mais moi, je vois dans notre réunion de cet après-midi, dans cette capacité et dans ces moments précis, de dire ce que signifie être à Benguerir, être à Marrakech, être au Maroc aujourd'hui, pour tous nos invités qui viennent du monde entier et qui, en ces moments précis, s'interrogent par rapport à toutes les tragédies que nous vivons. Et il est important aussi que ces assises ne soient pas complètement, je dirais, que ce débat ne soit pas complètement absent. Donc, merci. Merci de nous donner cette chance. Et encore une fois, bravo. Bravo pour que la culture soit ici invitée. Monsieur le ministre vous avez donné à ce champ culturel au Maroc une marque, une présence, des moyens, une vision. Moi, je dis généralement que dans ce domaine, je n'ai aucune gêne à me présenter comme un activiste assez naïf, mais voilà, engagé dans ma naïveté, dans mes convictions, et plus que jamais, je dirais. Et Monsieur le ministre, si vous m'y autorisez, je dirais aussi que pour la première fois, nous avons un ministre de la Culture activiste, militant. Et ça nous réconforte. Merci à tous d'avoir été patients. J'ai été beaucoup plus long que je n'étais autorisé à le faire. Et je suis un peu sorti du champ qui m'était imparti. Merci pour votre indulgence et merci pour votre écoute.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I now have the pleasure of introducing the Honorable Mr. Mohammed Mehdi Ben Said, Minister of Youth, Culture, and Communication in Morocco.
Si Hicham a de la photo, je ne l'aime pas. Donc. Excellences, Monsieur le Conseiller de Sa Majesté, Monsieur le Gouverneur, Messieurs les Présidents, chers invités, chers amis, quel plus bel endroit qu'une université comme la vôtre, innovante et pionnière pour parler de ce qui fait la triple vocation de notre ministère, à savoir la culture, la jeunesse et la communication. La culture parce qu'elle a besoin de la jeunesse pour se développer, prospérer, innover. La jeunesse parce qu'elle a besoin de culture pour apprendre, mûrir et devenir ce qu'elle veut être. Et bien sûr la communication parce que c'est un pont entre toutes ces dimensions. Et à ce propos, à l'exact croisement de ces domaines, la culture, la jeunesse et la communication, il y a les industries culturelles et créatives. Il existe plusieurs définitions possibles des industries culturelles et créatives. Nous, au ministère de la Jeunesse, de la Culture et de la Communication, nous favorisons une définition large et percutante à la fois. Les ICC, c'est le moyen de faire de la culture et du patrimoine une force dynamique et créatrice de richesse, d'emploi et de liens sociaux. Les ICC, c'est le laboratoire de la société marocaine d'aujourd'hui chez les jeunes et de demain auprès de toute la société. Les ICC, c'est le carrefour où les anciennes définitions du travail et du non-travail, de la culture et de l'économie fusionnent. Les ICC, c'est cette réalité que les jeunes comprennent très bien et les moins jeunes comme moi commencent à comprendre qu'il n'y a pas d'opposition entre la culture et le PIB, entre le loisir et la création de richesses, que tout être humain du moment, qu'il est enraciné dans une culture et qu'il est inséré dans une communauté peut devenir un acteur économique créateur de richesses et vecteur d'innovation. C'est dire que les ICC embrassent un domaine très très large et en constante extension. Bien, mais aussi des styles, des attitudes, des modes en perpétuelle création, en échange constant et dans le monde entier. Et notre pari, c'est que l'Afrique et le Maroc en Afrique peuvent devenir non seulement des acteurs importants des ICC, mais bien les acteurs majeurs des ICC, car le Maroc et plus largement l'Afrique, et en plus en Afrique, nous avons ce qui fait le socle des ICC. Nous avons la jeunesse, une jeunesse avide d'apprendre, d'innover, de communiquer. Nous avons le patrimoine, un patrimoine riche, pluriel, un patrimoine qui est resté jusqu'à récemment mal connu, incompris, délaissé et qui gagne à être valorisé. Nous avons la curiosité, l'audace, l'appétit des pays émergents qui sont prêts à explorer, expérimenter, prendre les risques qui accompagnent les domaines émergents. À propos d'expérimentation, d'innovation et de paris sur le futur, je me bornerai à vous présenter deux exemples parmi de nombreux autres des ICC sur lesquels parie le ministère de la Jeunesse, de la Culture et de la Communication. Je voudrais parler d'abord de cinéma et bien sûr après de gaming. Deux domaines avec beaucoup de points en commun et beaucoup de différences. Le cinéma, c'est l'une des ICC les plus anciennes et les mieux établies. Bien sûr, nous connaissons Ouarzazate, terre de cinéma. Et vous connaissez la place qu'occupe notre pays à l'échelle internationale dans ce domaine. Mais le cinéma, ce n'est pas seulement la production et les festivals. Le cinéma, c'est aussi le lien social de proximité, la vie de quartier, la culture dans ce qu'elle a de plus concret, de plus démocratique, de plus universel. Le ministère a voulu depuis 2 ans maintenant rendre aux Marocains leur cinéma, c'est-à-dire d'abord leur salle de cinéma qui avait été décimée, fermée, en ruine, désaffectée, pour les plus chanceuses transformées en salle de mariage ou de spectacle, pour les autres en parking, en terrain vague, en projet immobilier. Le projet est désormais en plein déploiement, 150 salles de cinéma qui réconcilient les Marocains dans les grandes villes comme les moyennes et les petites villes avec les fréquentations régulières de salles obscures. Et j'aimerais faire l'annonce que le 15 novembre, nous ouvrirons nos 50 premières salles de cinéma. Et le plus important, que c'est dans le cadre de la coordination avec les acteurs privés, c'est-à-dire les salles existantes dans les grandes villes marocaines, nous ouvrirons ces 150 salles principalement dans des petites villes et des villes moyennes. Il était honteux, en tout cas jusqu'au jour d'aujourd'hui, qu'une ville comme Ouarzazate, qui accueille le Gotha du cinéma mondial, n'ait pas de salle de cinéma. Donc ces 150 salles, c'est aussi un secteur économique dynamique, 500 emplois directs. Je ne comptabilise même pas les productions qu'il peut y avoir derrière, enfin les business plans qui vont changer quand il y a la possibilité de gagner à travers donc l'investissement dans un film de cinéma. Plus de 1000 emplois indirects et plus de 300 millions dirhams de chiffre d'affaires annuel. Bien sûr, ces chiffres sont appelés à croître car le ministère fait le pari qu'une dynamique va être enclenchée en réconciliant nos citoyens avec la fréquentation des salles de cinéma, avec un ticket à prix modéré et une offre de films marocains. Un cercle vertueux est enclenché. Notre pays pourra produire demain ses propres images, consommer sa propre fiction, et pourquoi pas science-fiction, et faire du cinéma un vecteur de croissance économique, un lien social et de démocratisation culturelle. Le second exemple dont je voulais vous parler, c'est celui du gaming. Je vous ai dit qu'il y a des points en commun avec le cinéma. Certains disent que les jeux vidéo vont être au cinéma ce que le cinéma a été au théâtre, à la fois un défi et un compagnon. Sans rentrer dans ce débat, disons que le cinéma comme le gaming sollicite parfois les mêmes métiers, à savoir scénaristes, designers, concepteurs, animateurs, ingénieurs de son et d'image. Dans son approche de ce secteur, le ministère part d'un constat. Le marché mondial du gaming représente aujourd'hui presque 300 milliards de dollars. Je dis bien 300 milliards de dollars. D'ailleurs, les acteurs majeurs aux États-Unis, au Japon, en Chine, en France sont également des puissances économiques industrielles classiques qui ont compris toute l'importance de ce marché. Autre constat qui montre la force potentielle de l'Afrique et en particulier du Maroc dans ce marché de gaming. L'Afrique, c'est 330 millions de joueurs et de joueurs potentiels, car le gaming, vous l'avez compris, s'adresse d'abord, mais pas seulement, aux jeunes, aux très jeunes. Et le Maroc, comme le reste du continent, est fort de sa jeunesse. D'ailleurs, les chiffres du gaming au Maroc sont dès maintenant très prometteurs. Un marché de 47 millions de dollars en 2022, projeté à 80 en 2027, 80 millions de dollars en 2027, soit une croissance de 10% par an. Notre stratégie à l'horizon 2030 s'appuie sur cette tendance prometteuse pour se fixer des objectifs ambitieux mais réalistes et atteignables. Un chiffre d'affaires global de 500 millions de dollars, dont plus de 90% à l'export, un marché national de 100 millions de dollars, une valeur ajoutée de 300 millions de dollars. Mais au-delà des chiffres, il y a une réalité plus générale sur laquelle on parie. Le domaine du gaming est beaucoup moins capitalistique que celui de l'automobile ou de l'aéronautique. Le Maroc, qui a admirablement réussi dans ces deux domaines et dans d'autres, a les atouts nécessaires pour réussir dans ce secteur-là, le gaming, là où pour l'industrie lourde, il a fallu construire des corridors logistiques, investir massivement dans des machines-outils, se doter d'infrastructures coûteuses. Dans le domaine du gaming, notre principal investissement, c'est le capital humain. Et notre principal atout doit être une volonté claire et explicite. Dans notre stratégie pour 2030 et dans nos estimations les plus basses, le gaming peut créer 600 postes de qualité avec des profils Bac plus 2 à Bac plus 5, dans des spécialisations précieuses en création, production, scénario, design, montage, comme je l'ai rappelé tout à l'heure, mais aussi en management IT, chef de projet, codeur, testeur, et bien sûr en marketing et communication. Je retiens aussi ce qu'a dit tout à l'heure les représentants de l'IFC, qui s'étaient prêts à financer, à soutenir l'industrie culturelle. La porte est ouverte, monsieur, parce que le principal objectif, je pense, de cette réunion, et ce qui m'a séduit dans cette réunion, c'est justement vous rencontrer et vous dire, regardez cette jeunesse, elle est à l'affût d'opportunités. L'autre message peut-être, c'est que nous voulons que nos jeunes Marocains, et on va se battre pour cela bien sûr, et l'OCP, je tenais à le remercier, nous aide à réaliser cette ambition-là. Nous voulons que les jeunes Marocains aient une ambition marocaine et rêvent au Maroc. Nous voyons plusieurs de nos jeunes diplômés qui, pour des raisons ou autres, je ne citerai pas ces raisons-là, ou les autres d'ailleurs, vont ailleurs pour tout simplement essayer de remplir leurs ambitions et leurs rêves. Moi, je pense que le rêve marocain aujourd'hui est possible. À nous de leur donner cette opportunité. Et bien sûr, pour cela, il faut miser sur des fonds à capital à risque dans l'industrie culturelle. C'est ce que nous voulons mettre en place aujourd'hui. L'État, le gouvernement travaillent sur cette optique-là. Bien sûr, je profite de l'opportunité et de votre proposition pour vous dire que vous êtes les bienvenus pour qu'on puisse en discuter afin de permettre à tous ces jeunes-là de pouvoir continuer à rêver marocain. Je terminerai donc mon mot sur un constat qui est très simple. Le Maroc a les atouts essentiels pour devenir une locomotive du gaming et plus généralement des ICC dans le monde. Nous avons la jeunesse, nous avons le patrimoine, le pluralisme culturel et la capacité à gérer la différence et l'innovation. Nous avons surtout l'ambition et la volonté. Le Maroc, qui co-organisera la Coupe du Monde de football en 2030, a tout pour organiser les Coupes du Monde de sport virtuel de demain et devenir un acteur majeur des industries culturelles, créatives et culturelles du XXIe siècle. Merci.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, for those insightful remarks and for reminding us about the connection between the creative industries and the youth and the importance of the gaming industry. It is now my pleasure to introduce Ms. Naila Tazi, President of the Federation of Cultural and Creative Industries here in Morocco.
Thank you, Akuna. Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour, bonsoir, salam alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Avant toute chose, avant de commencer, je voudrais remercier ici très chaleureusement messieurs Maktar Diop, qui nous rejoindra plus tard, et en son nom, Sergio Pimenta et Xavier Rey, monsieur Moustapha Tsarab, et Hicham Lahabté d'avoir choisi ce thème si cher à mon cœur et si cher à toutes les personnes ici présentes. Alors, en choisissant ce thème, la SFI et l'UM6P viennent soutenir le plaidoyer de nombreux acteurs qui œuvrent et qui appellent depuis longtemps à l'accélération, à la transformation de la politique culturelle pour plus de performance, pour professionnaliser l'écosystème dans lequel les opérateurs travaillent, l'écosystème dans sa globalité, pour un meilleur accès au financement, comme vient de le dire Monsieur le Ministre, et c'est pour cela que nous remercions très chaleureusement la SFI et nous aurons l'occasion d'écouter plus longtemps quelles sont les modalités de ce financement, et surtout pour que nos métiers soient pris plus au sérieux, parce qu'il s'agit bien d'industrie culturelle et créative et d'une chaîne de métiers. Merci donc à l'UM6P et SIHAPT pour l'organisation de cet événement dans cette université avant-gardiste, ce centre d'excellence qui forme les leaders de demain et un lieu qui se veut un catalyseur d'une nouvelle Afrique active. Alors aujourd'hui, nous allons parler d'investissement, nous parlerons du rôle du secteur privé, nous allons parler, si Mehdi, Monsieur le ministre, de la responsabilité de l'État, mais je pense qu'aujourd'hui, l'État est très mobilisé, mais aussi de l'importance du partenariat public-privé. Oui, nous réaffirmerons que la culture est bankable, mais qu'elle l'est différemment. Nous rappellerons que souvent, le retour sur investissement est peut-être plus long, mais que le bénéfice est tellement plus grand, il est à la fois matériel, il est humain et il est immatériel. Et le moment est venu pour l'Afrique de mettre les projecteurs sur ces sujets et de saisir les opportunités car le potentiel est immense. Mesdames et messieurs, j'ai l'honneur de présider la Fédération des industries culturelles et créatives que nous avons ancrée au sein de la CGEM, la confédération patronale qui représente le secteur privé et plus de 100 000 entreprises à travers le pays. Cet ancrage, nous l'avons voulu pour inscrire la culture dans les grands débats liés au développement économique et social de notre pays. J'ai bien connu la solitude de l'entrepreneur culturel. Et ce sont 30 années d'expérience, de doute, de passion et de détermination qui me permettent d'être aujourd'hui ici devant vous. Monsieur Azoulay en a parlé, le festival Gnawa a été un marqueur dans mon itinéraire. Depuis 25 ans, je produis le festival Gnawa et musique du monde qui se déroule chaque année à Essaouira. La culture des Gnawa, longtemps marginalisée, a été élevée en 2019 au rang de patrimoine immatériel par l'UNESCO. Pourtant, lorsque nous avons fondé ce festival qui est aujourd'hui si emblématique, peu nombreux étaient ceux qui y ont cru. N'est-ce pas, cher monsieur Azoulay? Les moyens financiers ont été trop longtemps si maigres. La ville manquait cruellement d'infrastructures, beaucoup de gens dormaient sur la plage, et je me souviens même, et peut-être certains d'entre vous ici présents se souviennent, que lors de la première édition en 1998, on ne trouvait parfois même pas à manger au bout du deuxième jour. Évidemment, les opérateurs de la ville ne s'attendaient pas à une si grande influence, à recevoir une telle marée humaine. Et aujourd'hui, Essaouira, nous le disons avec fierté, est devenu un fleuron touristique de notre pays. Et nous avons mené une étude qui a démontré que pour chaque dirham que nous investissons dans l'organisation du festival, ce sont 17 dirhams qui tombent dans l'économie de la ville. Pour vous donner une idée, le plus gros festival en France a un rapport de 1 euro investi pour 6 euros qui retombent dans l'économie de la ville. C'est le festival des Vieilles Charrues. Donc, Essaouira prouve encore une fois qu'un événement culturel, une action culturelle peut transformer la vie d'un territoire. Et je vous invite d'ailleurs à tous, ceux qui ne sont jamais venus, merci. La prochaine édition, prenez note de nos dates, aura lieu du 27 au 29 juin à Essaouira, Inch'Allah. Mesdames, Messieurs, les industries culturelles et créatives ne seront plus le faire-valoir d'une myopie systémique à l'égard de catégories sociales souvent cataloguées, soit de trop jeunes, soit de porteuses de projets secondaires. Elles doivent faire l'objet de politiques fortes et de visions ambitieuses, car elles représentent un secteur productif à part entière, une source de richesse pour nos territoires, des emplois à l'appel et un soft power considérable pour les États. Les industries culturelles et créatives ne doivent plus être l'angle mort des politiques publiques. Et là, je regarde mon amie et consoeur au Parlement, Nadia Bouaïda, présidente de commission. Elles ne peuvent continuer, les industries culturelles et créatives ne peuvent continuer à s'adresser à chacun séparément, la politique économique d'un côté, la politique sociale de l'autre. Non, elles doivent encore moins continuer à vivre sous perfusion grâce à une petite pension difficilement arrachée devant le tribunal de l'opinion publique ou par l'empathie d'un mécène. Nous remercions les mécènes, mais aujourd'hui, nous voulons aborder les choses autrement. Et d'ailleurs, une loi sur le mécénat serait la bienvenue. Elles ne doivent plus être la dernière case à cocher sur le formulaire de la bonne gouvernance. Donc c'est pour moi l'occasion de saluer encore une fois le travail de notre ministre Mehdi Ben Saïd, avec lequel notre fédération travaille étroitement dans le cadre d'une convention publique-privée visant à renforcer l'écosystème global de ces industries. Ce partenariat est exemplaire. Il est important pour partager les expériences, donner la voix aux professionnels et pour changer la manière de faire. Notre ministre apporte une dynamique nouvelle à ce secteur, de l'expertise, de la modernité. Il travaille surtout à plus de convergence entre les départements gouvernementaux, car nous le savons, la culture est transversale, elle abreuve tous les secteurs, mais reste encore trop peu attractive pour les investisseurs. Alors, face à un dynamisme naissant porté par les jeunes talents, mais aussi par les géants mondiaux, face à ces géants mondiaux, il devient impératif de créer des synergies africaines à travers plus d'investissements et plus d'échanges commerciaux pour élargir nos marchés respectifs et surtout notre marché commun. Nous avons beaucoup entendu parler de cela lors des assemblées annuelles de Marrakech. L'ensemble de nos grands décideurs, lors de ces assemblées, ont insisté sur la nécessité de continuer à renforcer ce marché commun. Nous devons en faire une force pour notre développement global. Et nous devons aussi prendre notre place dans le grand marché mondial. C'est à force d'investissement, de formation professionnelle, et je souhaite insister là-dessus parce que les filières des industries culturelles et créatives cherchent à pourvoir des emplois, mais nous ne trouvons pas suffisamment de jeunes qualifiés. Nous devons protéger les droits d'auteur et des créateurs. Nous avons besoin d'une approche volontariste en termes d'export. Nos créations ont besoin d'être exportées. Et bien sûr, nous avons besoin de renforts technologiques. C'est à force de tout cela que les industries culturelles et créatives pourront libérer leur plein potentiel à l'échelle du continent qu'est l'Afrique. Un chiffre. L'Afrique ne détient que 0,4% des revenus de l'industrie musicale mondiale, qui pèse pourtant 18 milliards de dollars. Ces chiffres ne correspondent pas à ce que devrait être la réalité. Puisque nous le savons, l'Afrique est le berceau de toutes les musiques. Nous devons simplement avoir plus d'audace et plus confiance en nous pour faire éclore nos talents et tout ce qui va avec l'éclosion de ces talents. Nos pays sont riches en patrimoine culturel divers. Nous devons en saisir le plein potentiel et créer des chaînes de valeur pour que ces industries atteignent plus de 10% de notre PIB, comme c'est le cas aux États-Unis ou au Brésil. Et oui, ce sont souvent ces chiffres qui nous manquent. Ces chiffres qui nous manquent pour mesurer et valoriser l'impact de ces industries culturelles et créatives et leur contribution au PIB. Et nous le savons, c'est lorsque le plaidoyer s'érige de cette façon que le sujet est pris au sérieux et que la culture se fait entendre dans les grands débats concernant le développement, comme nous sommes en train de le faire ici aujourd'hui. Nous sommes en Afrique, le continent de l'avenir, mais aussi le continent de l'ancestralité. Dans ce qu'elle a de plus solide, l'ancestralité, le commun dans ce qu'il a de plus noble et l'imaginaire collectif dans ce qu'il a de plus fort. Pour saisir la pleine potentialité de ces industries, nous devons aborder la culture dans sa dimension traditionnelle et moderne à la fois, car les détenteurs de savoir-faire traditionnels sont les dépositaires des cultures vivantes et immatérielles, garantes de l'oralité, de notre spécificité et surtout du récit que nous voulons raconter au monde, parce qu'avec nos projets culturels, nous avons des histoires à raconter. Mesdames et messieurs, je suis vraiment fière d'être ici aujourd'hui dans le cadre de ces assemblées annuelles de la Banque mondiale, pour la première fois au Maroc. Cet événement a été reporté à cause de la crise du Covid. Et il arrive alors que depuis 1 an, coup sur coup, mon pays, le Maroc, vit de grandes émotions collectives, des émotions à résonance profondément humaine et à spectre définitivement mondial. Souvenez-vous de la performance de notre équipe nationale en décembre dernier lors du mondial de football. Et en septembre dernier, pas loin d'ici, la terre a tremblé dans le House. Et ce séisme a suscité un élan d'entraide exceptionnel au Maroc et dans le monde. Au cœur de toutes ces grandes émotions, dans la joie comme dans la peine, il y a avant tout et par-dessus tout la volonté d'un homme, celle de notre souverain, le roi Mohammed VI, que Dieu l'assiste. Il y a aussi la grandeur d'un peuple qui agit au mieux et pour son propre salut et celui des autres. Il le fait armé d'un capital invisible, mais bien réel. Ce capital, c'est la richesse de son patrimoine, c'est sa culture ancestrale et ses traditions millénaires. Ce capital qui, depuis des siècles, se forge, s'adapte, tient bon et surtout se transmet. Ce capital se nourrit et grandit principalement à travers des expressions culturelles et des dynamiques créatives. Elles l'ont été de tout temps, elles le sont aujourd'hui plus que jamais. Elles sont, au fond, l'incarnation d'aspirations sociales et politiques. Elles sont le marqueur des époques et le ciment d'une nation. C'est cette prise de conscience qui nous réunit aujourd'hui ici, une initiative admirable qui nous fédère et nous remplit d'espoir. Et donc, encore une fois, merci Monsieur Terrab, merci Makhtar Diop et merci Hicham Labdi et merci à vous.
Can we get a round of applause for all of our wonderful keynote speakers? We are now moving into the first panel, and I'd like to call up our moderator, Marie-Laura Mungai, CEO of Restless Global. Our first panelist, Bill Sonneborn, Global Director for Disruptive Technology, Creative Industries and Funds at the IFC. Moulay Tabouret, CEO of ANCA.
Thank you, Akuna. Thank you, everyone, for being here for this panel. So we're going to talk about investment in the creative sector. So in 2023, investors have now woken up to the potential of the creative industries. However, it still remains a challenge to identify the bankable business models for the sector, and there's still a lot of challenges. So I'm excited to be joined today by a lot of hands-on investors and operators in the creative industries with a wealth of experience. So my first question goes to you, Bill. So it's been about a year and a half since IFC took on this new mandate of investing in the creative sector. Can you tell us why, and what are your priority areas, and why do you consider these areas are the most bankable?
It's a great question. Thanks, Marie. It's great to be here. Many people probably wonder why the guy in charge of globally investing in venture capital is also in charge of the creative industries. It's a bit of background. My father was a plein air artist. So I grew up with a creator as a father. And I saw his passion for what he did. And I also know that if I took him to UM6P and had him take a lot of Python classes, he would never get good at coding in Python. So we, as a development finance institution, have been trying to think about digital skills in developing countries around the world for many, many years. But it was really time to pivot and start to think about the creative side to build, as Sergio Pimenta, the VP for Africa, mentioned, jobs. He mentioned 74% in a recent survey of Africans are interested in the creative industries. The creative industries are the largest single employer of people between the age of 15 and 30 globally. That's in Japan, that's in Korea, it's in the US, it's in the UK, it's in Africa. And if we, as the largest development financial institution, isn't thinking about how we fund and invest debt and equity in those sectors, we're missing the opportunity in a place like Africa to create long, well-paying, interesting, engaging jobs. And so when we stepped back about 15 months ago to enter the sector, we really started to think about what the verticals are, where's the bankable investments, and we really started to focus on a couple of areas. So first is audio-visual, second is music. You know, Burna Boy, African artist, was the first African to sell out a major U.S. football stadium relatively recently. We're also focused on fashion, fragmented industry, and we'll hear from ANCA, who's one of our new partners in a second. It's a really unique opportunity for the creative fashion industry in Africa to show its capability to the world. And then finally, sports. And then related to all of those, the intersection of technology and creativity. So the idea that with the advances in technology, whether it's audiovisual, music, there are other ways that mediums can be provided. Good examples, we recently invested in India in a business called Cuckoo FM, which is figured out a way to provide podcast self-help and education tools in over 150 vernacular languages for rural India, where they don't speak Hindi, they don't speak English, they speak their own rural village languages. And it's just really interesting to see how technology is advancing the ability of learning, developing, and creating content around the world.
Thank you, Bill. And I believe that among the tools that IFC is using, so you have your direct investment tools, both debt and equity, but you also work through partners, and we have an important one here with us.
We do, a couple of them.
A couple of them, yes. Actually, so Antonio, yes, I want to ask you, you're from Sony Innovation Ventures. Your mic is working, don't touch it, don't touch it. And Sony has just launched a $10 million fund for Africa with the backing of IFC. Yes. Tell us, why is Sony getting interested in Africa now?
Yeah. So, first of all, thanks very much for inviting me. It's a privilege and to be part of this. Yes, we decided to kind of to start this activity about let's say 15 months ago. Yeah, and that's when I actually first met Bill at Vivatech in Paris. And yeah, the first kind of reason why we decided to kind of start this is because we do see more and more a demand for a distinctive type of IP that goes beyond Hollywood content. And the second key reason is that we do see a lot of potential in Africa and a lot of talents. And that's why we decided to kind of start this kind of small investment activity with IFC. Why with IFC? Because IFC has made so many investments in Africa. We are a venture capital fund, but we don't understand the geography yet. Yeah? And that's why we needed to work with a partner like IFC that has a presence on the ground and understand the space and the geography. And what we want to do is actually not only to invest in companies, but also bring actually our entertainment expertise and entertainment companies to help the local startups to scale up. When we talk about scale up, it's not only about taking distinctive content from Africa and bringing it to the mainstream through our distribution, but also our ambition is actually to build what we call a Sony Academy. So bringing skills and knowledge and build schools actually locally in Africa to kind of train local talents so that we can really unleash, let's say, the creative potential of Africa and tell the untold stories. Yeah. So for me, one key takeaway that I got from actually one of the speakers before, yeah, there are a lot of stories that are untold about Africa, and what the world perceives about Africa, I think it's really misleading. It was misleading for me. So I've been in Africa through this project a few times. Yeah, and I see, I have a totally different perception than what I got from the media. So yes, I think that's basically those are the key reasons, and this is the plan that we want to execute with IFC. Yeah.
Well, Africa welcomes you, I'm sure. Always need more funds. And Moulay, so a big month for you, big year, because you actually raised a new round. So you're the CEO of Anka. It's a 7-year-old startup. And you raised a new round led by IFC and a few others. And you're really the hands-on operator here. Yeah. So from the point of view of the entrepreneur, I'm really interested to hear from you a little bit about the journey of Anka and how you started, because you started as Africrea, which is a marketplace for fashion and crafts, and then you pivoted to better serve your customers. So we're talking about business models. So tell us about your journey to finding yours.
So, first of all, hello everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Je sais qu'on parle en anglais depuis tout à l'heure, mais je vais vous demander de nous écouter when we speak in English, because I believe this is something that could be useful for everyone. a lot of you here are hoping to raise money to get funding from the good guys of IFC, and I hope that what I will share here will be useful for everyone. The one thing I can say first is we try to follow and serve our customers where they need to grow. That is the most and foremost rule we have when you do a business, especially a creative business. You need to keep that in mind. Because from what we have seen, I work with now over 20,000 different creatives, a lot of fashion, a bit of beauty, a bit of food. But everywhere I look, creatives have a hard work of imagining new things, all while keeping in mind that they're trying to make it work in the existing market. And that's what we had to do. We started first with something that existed, a marketplace. If some of you know Etsy or Amazon, that's where we started. That is Africa.com. It still exists, and it's still the biggest platform anywhere in the world in all things made of Africa. And we're very proud to have something like 100 sellers from Morocco selling to the world already. But we have sellers from 46 African countries. And to this day, they have done over $50 million of sale. So that's something that people need to realize. It's that what we're asking for, exporting to Africa, is already existing. And what we needed to do to get there, and probably what convinced IFC to help us grow further, is that we didn't stick to just the platform. We went all the way through the value chain to help people ship better, ship cheaper, ship faster, but also get paid anywhere they needed to get paid. Because after 2020, so COVID was hard on everyone, but one thing that changed definitely is commerce. All of you here that are listening to me today, I guarantee you spend probably as much time on social media in all formats, WhatsApp, Instagram, etc., as you do on platforms. So we couldn't get people to only go to our platform. We needed to go everywhere they are because that's where the customers of our customers were. And that's what Anchor is. That's why we pivoted. So in terms of bankable business model, the only lesson I can give to people is just what I said when I started. You need to serve your customers everywhere they are, to grow with them. And if that requires you to pivot, try new things, new product, new services, this is what you have to do.
And actually, you've put all these key learnings into a white paper, into a book, free book that you're releasing next week.
Exactly. So for all of you that want to learn more about how you do $50 million of sales in 170 countries, how you can sell to Black Americans, but also to people of the African diaspora or to people that are neither Black nor African, we are now releasing. You go to anchor.africa/white paper, and you have a free white paper report of 40 pages where we share all our data and all our lessons over the last 10 years.
Thank you. I'll certainly take a look.
Thank you.
And so, Laureen, actually, interestingly, you also just released a book, which you wrote yourself. So kudos for that. And I also want to hear about your journey because we can learn a lot from your experience. So you come actually from the investment space. You're a hardened professional investor. And a few years ago, you started Benguerir Ventures to invest in African fashion labels with the ambition of becoming the LVMH of Africa by taking equity stakes in labels. Sorry about the sound. I don't know what's happening here. And then you realized that actually it was not quite working out that way. And you had yourself to pivot as an investor, and then you moved into providing small loans to small enterprises in the fashion sector. So tell us about that experience.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Mary. Good afternoon, everyone. That's a great pleasure for me to be here with you this afternoon. I love Morocco. I love Marrakesh, so it's a great pleasure and honor for me. Literally 2.5 years ago, coming from the private sector and coming from the private equity space, I've created Benguerir Ventures as a private equity fund. So the objective was really to take minority or strong minority equity stakes in brands, to develop them, and at some point to become a conglomerate, so owning, controlling position within those different brands. And as I was progressing into the fundraising, but also testing the idea, I realized 3 things. First of all, it takes a lot of time to build and create a brand. If you take Dior, for example, Dior was created in 1946. So we cannot create the Dior's and Chanel of tomorrow in 2 to 3 years. It's just not possible. Then the second thing, and when you look at a group like LVMH, they are pouring a lot of money into those brands, a lot, investing in marketing, investing in production, investing in distribution. They have complete, perfect manufacturing capabilities in France and in Europe, which we don't. And third of all, when you look at all those brands, valuation is an issue. I mean, sometimes the money they need to grow and expand is 2 times the revenues they have generated in the last 2 years. So having a private equity approach was just not the right fit for that industry. So then we pivoted and we transformed ourselves into a financial institution. Why? Because those brands, guess what, still have some needs. They need to buy their raw materials, they need to produce, and they need to sell. So we needed to find a scheme where we could provide working capital requirements, so finance the collection, finance distribution, and activate sales. So today, our activities are just relying on 3 main pillars addressing those needs. First of all, capacity building. So we have a unique accelerator program with the French Fashion Institute, Institut Français de la Mode, whereby we transform creativity into creative entrepreneurship. Second of all, access to finance. So we're working with Orange Bank Africa to unlock some financing facilities for those brands. Today, we have financed 25 brands in Côte d'Ivoire in fashion, accessories, cosmetics, and art de vivre and art de la table. And then access to markets, so working with some retailers and wholesalers and providing visibility to those brands into the main fashion weeks, so New York, Paris, and Milan. So in a nutshell, it was really to address the key basic needs of creative entrepreneurs in fashion that we have pivoted to be able to be the main and go-to financial institution dedicated to the sustainable development of African heritage brands.
So a point that you made that's, that people think it's great. I think that too. A key point that you just made is that, of course, cutting a check is not enough. And actually all the support that goes around it is even more important. So every investor coming on the continent has to adapt to this reality. And Antonia, I want to ask you, because you're the newcomer here, but already Sony has realized that it needed to adapt the way that it normally invests for the continent. So in what way do you change the way that you normally make investments to fit within the African context?
Yes, so I think one of kind of the idea that we have here is a kind of invest smaller tickets, but in several companies, and actually working with those companies.
Tell us which sectors exactly you're looking at, so we're all...
Well, we are looking at companies that have kind of ability to create IP, so distinctive content, but also we are looking at companies that are kind of doing technology that can actually support the creation of this content at kind of lower cost, so entertainment tech type of companies, and also we're looking at the distribution part, which is very challenging here. So those are kind of the sectors that we are looking at, and the way we are trying to kind of invest is kind of trenching these investments, so not giving the money just in one shot, but kind of trenching it and working with those companies, with our entertainment groups. And the idea is to identify, let's say, the few good companies that we can trust, and then kind of double down and put more money there. But it's not only about the money. I just want to emphasize this, this activity, it's about making a profit, of course, because we cannot live without. It's not sustainable without a profit, but with the purpose of growing the ecosystem, because the ecosystem is still young. And that's why we want to couple this with the Sony Academy and with the school, which is for us very important. So that's kind of the key spirit and what we want to do. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for this. And Bill, so IFC doesn't only invest in Africa, but over the past financial year, you've disbursed 500 million to companies in the creative economy across emerging markets, surely you must have learned some key lessons in Asia or Latin America that could be applied also to Africa. Can you share some of them with us?
Sure, Marie. Yeah, so we have invested about $500 million in the first year focused on the industry. It's a drop in the bucket compared to our long-term plans of where we'd get to. But when we think about lessons learned, and a good example is, we spent a lot of time with Disney, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Sony, and there's insatiable demand for animation coming from Africa. But it's things like the African animation studios have acted as contract laborers to global production houses as opposed to building their own IP in Africa and owning that IP. So it's capacity building on things like that. But building their own IP also requires the need for financing because they have to build it and then sell the rights to a Netflix, a Disney, or a Sony. But they don't have a CFO, so they don't have financial statements. So how do you provide them financing? So then you need to do a lot of advisory support and capacity building to build financial statements so you can provide the financing so they could build the IP and sell it to Disney for $500 million. Those are the challenges that we're experiencing in Africa. Separately, it's really fragmented. The companies and businesses operating in Africa are much smaller than you see in South Asia or Southeast Asia or even Latin America. So we have to downsize the types of investments we're doing. We have to think about fund partners like Bermian and others. We have to convince banks in Africa that have historically not lent to this sector because they don't understand it and are afraid of it, to actually start to embrace it with risk-sharing facilities from IFC so we can provide funding to help these small fragmented businesses become larger and more scalable over time and bigger employers of youth.
And indeed, so actually Bermian is a beneficiary of the risk-sharing facility from IFC. And so, Laureen, tell us a bit more about the actual hands-on work that you do with your investees to make sure that they structure themselves, just like Bill said. How do they reach that level?
Absolutely. I think money without support is actually not useless, but might be detrimental. Because at some point, what is really critical for those creative entrepreneurs, fashion entrepreneurs, is to know how to use the cash. So what we're doing is, first of all, we make sure that from a financial standpoint, from an accounting standpoint, things are sorted out. So we're working with accountants that come and trace back the flows and income from the minute there is actually an order on their website to their bank account. So we really want to make sure that the financial statements are clean. Even if they're not certified, at least they're trustworthy. So that's the first thing. The second thing is marketing and brand development. Most of those brands, when we ask them, what is your unique selling proposition? They answer, we are a brand, we want to make African women bold. Okay, that's not a valid DNA statement. So we're working with all of those brands on what we call their brand platform. What do they stand for? Who is their persona? Who are they? And actually, how can they harness the potential of a bigger audience? So digital marketing, storytelling, brand platform. We're also working on the sale activation. So once a collection is ready, how do we portray it on social network to make sure it's desirable? To cut a story short, we're working on all the bottlenecks that are critical to drive the business, generate sales, and increase the desirability of the brands, because this is really key. And our partnership with the French Fashion Institute is really important because we're working with experts who are supporting the brands over a 10-month horizon. So really critical for us too.
Thank you. And I think, Moulay, you're also thinking of doing something quite similar with your vendors, which is to really also help them and even also provide some financing.
Yeah. Like we discussed, pretty much a lot of the entrepreneurs that are in the fashion industry generally need, to some extent, once they start growing, some extra push financially. The idea is not for us necessarily to transform into an investment fund. That's not our job. There is Bermian and other very good funds to do that. The idea is rather to provide the missing part. Financing is a financial product in the end. So what is missing is the distribution. So finding who should be financed. And then how do we finance them? One example we try to do is because we help people sell anywhere, they sell globally with us. So they sell on their website with us, they sell on our platform with us, and they sell on social media with us. So this single wallet we built is something that can help someone that wants to finance them both disburse and collect. And the most important part is also to assess. Let's say one thing that is missing today is, let's say we take a Moroccan entrepreneur that has been doing fashion for 5 years and that is pretty stable financially. They don't necessarily have a benchmark that can prove that what they do is better than anyone else. And that's part of our mission with the white paper report we put out, is to give the exact numbers and what are the exact trends that you need to show to prove that you're better than average, and if you're not, to define the objectives to get there. So once you have the data and the information, our job afterwards just becomes to be kind of the catalyzer for all the people that want to do this on lending, to use us as the place to find the right people to fund and the right way to fund them without losing their money, because in the end, the most efficient the financing is, the most powerful the growth should be.
Great. Bill, how does that work within the ambitions of IFC? Because I believe you have really big ambitions in terms of financing the creative sector in the next few years.
Yeah, we'd like to get to 2 billion or more per annum, and it's the partnership with Anka as an equity investor, and then now working with them because they collect the gross revenues through their payment wallet, and starting to think about them being a financing tool to reach MSME artisans across the continent of Africa in 40 plus countries is super interesting. That's one of the strategic value levers we identified early on when we spent time with Moulay and his team. And so it's part and parcel of our development impact, but it's also going to unlock a tremendous amount of value for Moulay and the equity owners of Anka. And when we think about the ideas or platforms like that that allow us to win in multiple ways to reach more creators, it gets really, really exciting to think about how we can hit those big, ambitious goals of investment per annum.
So clearly it comes out from what all of you have said, that the way to invest in the creative sector is to find tools to invest in the small businesses at every level and to be creative about how to reach out to them. So that's what you're all doing. And to close this panel, I would actually want to talk about another topic, look into the future. Moulay, you're one of the very, very few Korea tech entrepreneurs on the continent who has managed to raise money, and you're leveraging technology to really empower these small entrepreneurs we've been talking about. And I would like to ask you what other roles you see technology as playing within the creative industries and what it can unleash in terms of opportunities, business models. What should we expect?
3 minutes into the end, that's something I could spend an hour on, so I will try to make it 3 minutes, 3 things. First thing, the number one thing that is shown in our white paper report, I know I keep talking about the report, please go download it, please. I promise it's going to be worth your time. One thing we notice is a lot of vendors, when they come to us, when they have a business, they come to us to say, I need more eyeballs, I need more visibility, I need more traffic. We have built a machine learning model, so that's one of the answers I can give you, is data. With data, you can realize what is actually separating this designer, this product, against the 7,000 new products you have every week. And in general, it's not the number of traffic. Increasing, if we were to double the traffic a product is seeing, it will only increase its chance of being sold by 0.15%. Worse, if you were to divide your price by 2, if you have a product and you want to sell it, dividing the price by 2 only increases your chance of selling by 0.3%. So now you're going to ask me what the data says is the way to sell more. And the way to sell more is actually to update regularly your product and improve the content you're selling with.
I thought you were going to say Beyonce buys what you...
Exactly. And that's something that, because I don't know if you know, I imagine none of you know La Falaise Dion. The name doesn't ring any bell. But if I say Beyonce, you all know Beyonce, right? probably.
Yes.
So that's what Bill is referring to. And that's content. Because we have one of our sellers that is actually a young girl. She was a student when she sold to Beyoncé for the first time. Her clothes were worn in Beyoncé, 3 albums of Beyoncé. And of course, when she did, and Beyoncé told her I was going to post your product on Instagram, the fear that she had was how am I going to handle all of this traffic? And she just came to Anchor. She subscribed for $30 a quarter. And then she had a website, shipping, payment, and she could handle all of the sales she had. But the one thing that is missing for her now, other than the financing, is how does she keep doing content without having Beyoncé every day? You cannot go to Beyoncé every month and say, please wear this for me, unfortunately.
The key is actually
Yeah.
how can she scale up
Exactly.
and finance the collection. So having Beyoncé is actually a good thing. But
Yeah, exactly. If you don't have Beyoncé every week, what you can do is to create content every week. And one thing I push my sellers to use, and that's very trendy, is AI. I think we have an opportunity to bring down the cost of opportunity to testing new content, creating new pictures, new videos with AI. It's not very common yet. I hope this university, just how beautiful and new it is going to teach people how to use AI to create content easily from prototype and to test on different shape of woman, type of client, so that people can sell globally without having all the cost of having a whole shooting every week or even worse, contacting Beyoncé every month.
Okay, so we can have another panel someday about the role of AI in the creative industries, but you see it in a positive way, so that's good.
Definitely.
We have run out of time, but thank you all for your very clear and interesting insights. Good luck to all, and we're waiting to see the results of your work and investments. Thank you all.
Thank you, Marie, for your wonderful moderating and sticking to time. That was wonderful. We now have the pleasure of welcoming our second panel. Our moderator for the second panel, which will focus on the creative industries in Morocco, following up on this wonderful panel on bankable creative industries, will be moderated by Lotfi Aoulad, Program Manager for the Protection and Promotion of the Diversity of Cultural Expressions at UNESCO. Our first panelist, Brahim El Mazned, Founder and Director General, Visa for Music Festival and Anya Culture. Sophia Alawi, Director and Screenwriter. Miriam Septi, Director of Publication at Diptych Magazine. And Sabrina Kamili, Cultural Entrepreneur.
Hi everyone. Thank you for being with us. I'm really happy to moderate today's discussion with this incredible panelist. Welcome. So as we said, culture is a powerful lever to build peaceful society, but it's also a strong lever for inclusion and economic growth. According to UNESCO, creative industry generate 30 million jobs worldwide, especially for women and young people. Sabrina, I heard that you have worked on a white paper with local stakeholders and to identify the strength of the cultural industry in Morocco and in the region. So maybe we can start with a brief presentation of the outcomes.
Yeah, just in a nutshell, because I'm really, by the way, delighted to be here to speak about...
Just if maybe you have a, yeah, can use it.
Better now, right? Yeah, I was saying I'm truly delighted to be speaking about creative economy because it's such an important matter, a subject, and yet, to my opinion, it doesn't get enough attention. So yes, I would like to thank the university, Mohamed VI Polytechnique, for such a spotlight, much needed spotlight. And Yeah, I'm all the more delighted to be here alongside people, friends, colleagues that I deeply respect for their work in promoting art and in Morocco and worldwide. So yeah, we had quickly to answer your question first. Before we get to the publication, just to say that when we talk about the creative sectors, we have the ability to create the value has been considered in terms of symbolic, more intangible, social, educational impact. And it's very recent in Morocco, it's about a decade ago, that there's a shift, the perception has begun to shift. And that's very important because we can see now how the potential for empowerment of women, for job employment. And so I don't know if you want to have a quick presentation of the other panelists. I think it would be before we dig into the report.
So I think because we were not of time, maybe I will ask the question to each panelist, but just to start with the outcome of the result you have, that would be good. Thank you, Sabrina.
Yeah, so our question is, we know there is a huge potential, but how to unlock this potential? That's our question, right? Just a second slide. Okay. So we've been conducting a research, sorry, because I have some slides. Leading up to this panel, we have been conducting interviews, and we had the immense chance to exchange with sector professionals working in the art, in education, and in cultural cooperation. And so I'm here to present a bit of what we've been collecting from insights and even success stories from these professionals. I'm not going to get deep into the numbers because I think His Excellency the Minister has already given the main figures. But yes, some subsectors are showing growth, massive growth, and the gaming market is one of them. And also, you have the figures up there. So music streaming, the video streaming. Maybe just to mention a survey from L'Economist that shows that in Morocco, 25% of Moroccans have regularly engaged in a game activity. So that's an impressive figure, and if I was an investor, I would be triggered by this figure. And what is more important above these figures are the trends, because there's clearly a rising trend. Yeah, I think we can, I have the. So yeah, we've been conducting, as I said, with professionals. We had targeted people working in cultural cooperation, so that's Ojama Oshai, Teddy Kosoko, and they give us very insights, valuable insights. Just give me 5 minutes because, yeah. So the discussion with these professionals really underlined the need to bridge the gap between the theoretical understanding and the practical implementation. We were talking about empowering creative operators. As we've just seen and heard, there are several creative sectors that are experiencing growth, but this growth underscores the urge and the need for access to technology and access to training. So yeah, that was kind of the main point, I think. Sorry, I had to rehearse with that. We also conducted interviews with cultural professionals here at the university. And one of the most relevant information, we talked about streamlining funding access for youth and small enterprise. We also talked about fostering collaboration and data sharing, and that's an important point because as we have heard also in the previous panel about entrepreneurship, and I think it's also the foundation of progress for the African cultural and creative industries. It heavily relies on collaboration and the availability of robust data. So that's also insights from operators, and they shed light on the necessity for concerted efforts to make solid data available. We need them to advocate, to be more precise also, and for potential investors to make evidence-based argument. So, and we released, because we're researchers, so we took many, many notes, and yeah. So I'm sorry because I don't have enough hard copy for the entire room, but you will see displayed on the screen a QR code to download it. We try to articulate those interviews and insights within our research publication. It's hard to manipulate the whole, I'm sorry to say. Yeah, I'm not going to go deep inside this slide, but you will find all the data in the publication. That's part of what came out of the discussion, the 5 key trends driving the African market. But I'm going to go to the next slide to accelerate. Yes, that's an interesting figures. We don't have a lot of data regarding Morocco, but I think those 2 graphs are very interesting. It's regarding the trade balance. So we have the imports in creative goods and the exports in creative goods. What is important what does those 2 graphs say? First of all, we import more than we export creative goods. But the interesting thing is that it's kind of the opposite in terms of service. So when it comes to Morocco, to be more precise, we should maybe speak about creative services more than creative industries. So yeah, the main question is why to invest and why now, and I would say more importantly, how to invest. What are the focus that need to be supported? We talked about empowering the creative operators. Again, I'm not going to detail the whole discussion. We're passionating, and you can find the conclusion in the publication later. So 5 points: empowering creative operators. That's a quote from Mrs. Ojoma Oshai. We've had the pleasure to discuss. I have to say, in the team, we were quite inspired from this conversation. And she said, you have it up there. When you think about it, the digital economy relies on big distribution platforms that are full of creative content. And it's true, there's a strong appetite among young people for creative content, for digital creative content. We can see that every day on our social media. But the key is really to support better structuring, to better structure the market, and also to empower those young people to take advantage, especially in relation with the digital media. The second point was fostering collaboration and data sharing. Again, we had some very concrete initiatives that we put in the publication, like the Vibrancy Index, where operators are trying to capture data and share it. It's not working anymore. Yeah, that's another quote from Teddy Kosoko, whom you maybe know. He's the founder of Maseka Game Studio. He's a major player in the gaming industry in Africa. And we talked about collaboration with Moroccan entrepreneurs in the gaming industry. And he also stressed the need for data. They put online an open data website that is very interesting for anyone interested to dig into the gaming market.
Sabrina, you just have 1 minute left to...
3, 4, 5.
Thank you.
The third point, streamlining funding access for youth and small CCI enterprise. It's like one of the main topics. And driving employment opportunities and empowering youth through the creative economy. Last but not least, well, that's a quote from Monza, a wonderful cultural player, very active in Mauritania, but he's also at the head of an NGO called Art Real Network. I'll let you read the quote. I don't need to read it. Okay, I said 5, there are 6 points. The fifth one is enhancing exchange and mobility between Africa's creative landscapes. And last but not least, empowering women working in the sector.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Yeah, so that's up there. You have the QR code that you can scan with your phone and get the publication for free. Obviously, what I'm presenting is very global trends, and the growth rates that we presented regarding the game or the music streaming industry, the video streaming industry, is not the same when we talk about publishing or performing art, but we here focus on fast-growing markets. I think our colleagues over there may have more to tell us about their respective sectors in the area of visual arts, music, and cinema. And just to quickly finish, if these conferences that are organized at the university are intended to amplify African voices as catalysts for global change, we're here, alongside my colleague, to give voice to those who believe that the creative economies has a pivot role to play in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sabrina, for this white paper. And as you said, it's really important to provide data for the professional of the cultural sector, also to create opportunities for artists and creators. And I believe that it's the work that Brahim El Maznid, you are doing. I met you at UNESCO a few months ago, and you are the founder and the head of Visa for Music. And the first question, now you will celebrate the 10 years anniversary of Visa for Music, and how it is important for the musical industry that is blooming to create this kind of platform for the emerging talent. And
thank you very much, Lotfi. First of all, I would like to thank the University UM6P for this. I would like to thank the University UM6P for organizing this amazing event and its interest in culture. I always believe that universities who are open in culture are the place where students are thrive and succeed at most. And thanks to the university for what they do in terms of education and in terms of employment as an African university. I think one of the challenges very important in our sector here in Africa that the network is very disparate, and that's what we initiated in 2004, 10 years ago. Visa for Music is to bring the community working in music sector, artists, workers in culture sectors, labels, artistic directors, festivals, venues, technicians, etc., to Rabat, to discuss, to develop their network, and of course organizing showcases, conferences, workshops, speed datings, etc. And this event grew up and became now the most probably place where to meet. Of course, there's other music markets in South Africa and Eastern Africa and some places, but probably the geography help us to bring community from the south and from the north and from other region. Today, the success of Visa for Music bring a lot of applicants from all over the world. For example, this year we received 1,508 applications from 99 countries, 45. Most of them comes from 45 countries from Africa. That means that the African community working in the music sector believe on the project. Of course, the jury select only around 50 artists who performed in 5 stages in Rabat. The event is in November, so we are welcome, of course, next November. And for example, for this year, we have this 50 shows or showcases. We receive almost 100 festivals from around the world, and some network also like European Jazz Network will be with us. International Music Council, they are organizing their 40 AGM at Visa for Music. We have other delegates from Forum of Worldwide Music Festival and many delegates coming from many places. And of course, it's not only open for African artists, it's also open for diaspora, African, Afro-descendant, because we believe that Caribbean is a part of Africa also. So, and this year we will also put in the discussion some ideas like what the jazz owes to Africa. For example, we will talk about music heritage in Africa. We will talk also about artificial intelligence. We'll talk about copyright. We will organize some showcases, some workshop linked to digital and the streaming. We will organize also some workshop in technical, like sound engineering, etc. So it's a place where the community, it's 4 days, but it's the idea is to bring the community to develop a network and develop business, not only in our region, but also worldwide. That's why we bring the communities from all over the world to talk and exchange ideas and probably build a bridge between communities.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can continue.
I understand it's really exciting, and really congratulations for all the activities you're carrying out for the artists. And
Thank you.
that actually we have the chance to have Sophia Alaoui with us. So you are an artist, you're a filmmaker. Thank you. And so we are talking about to create opportunities, to have, to support artists, and it will be important to, because the music industry is also close to the film sector. It's full of potential, especially in Africa. We have a report made by the Pan-African Federation of the Filmmaker that actually consider we have 5 billion income revenue per year, but we can reach until 20 billion per year. So how in your day-to-day work and in your creative work you can feel this environment? What's your point of view and how it impacts your artistic work?
Yes, first I will just have 1 minute to present myself because maybe many people doesn't know me. I'm a filmmaker based in Rabat. So I live in Morocco, but I used to work abroad, and I'm working between Morocco and abroad, actually. I do see that Morocco, and I will speak about Morocco because it is the country that I know. The industry is really growing. The filmmakers are making more movies. We are welcoming shooting from all around the world, especially US TV shows and films. So we have really talented technician, and I think this is a lot of people think cinema, they think about actors, they think about director, but doesn't know that there's many jobs in this industry, and in Morocco in particular, we're looking for those technicians. So I think to be formed in this type of job is very interesting. And yes, in my opinion, creativity, and I'm really happy to see that it's a growing industry creatively. The main problem, I think we are sharing all that, and I was really happy to see and listen the Minister of the Culture and Naila Tazi talking about production, is because the main problem of our industry is the financing. We are still dependent of European system of financing. So my main question is, okay, how we can build our own stories if we are not independent financially? It's for me a huge opportunity to talk today and to have this African meeting, because I think we're sharing this problem, but I think we'll find a solution.
Thank you very much. I hope we'll have the time to get back to this very important point. And of course, that's why we're here, to share our point of view and some recommendation. But I will now talk with UM6P. It's a friendly French and English speaker here, so on peut parler aussi en français sur une industrie qui, là, sur ta qualité de spécialiste en art contemporain et art visuel. Tu côtoies dans ta casquette de créatrice diptyque du magazine beaucoup d'artistes et on aimerait entendre aussi ton point de vue, toi dans ta dynamique de création et avec cet écosystème d'artistes. Quel est ton point de vue sur cet écosystème marocain, son positionnement à l'international et voilà, merci Myriam.
Merci Lotfi pour cette question. Je remercie l'UM6P pour cette invitation. Donc moi, je vais parler de ce que je connais et prendre la parole plutôt non pas en tant que professionnelle de la presse, mais davantage en ma qualité d'observatrice privilégiée de la scène contemporaine marocaine, puisque à la tête du magazine Diptyque, qui est un magazine trimestriel d'art contemporain basé à Casablanca, donc depuis 2009, depuis 15 ans maintenant, j'ai pu observer des changements importants et je suis heureuse de savoir qu'aujourd'hui, ce discours sur les industries culturelles et créatives nous permet aussi de considérer évidemment la culture comme une industrie et de regarder tous les métiers qui la constituent. Et précisément, ces 10 dernières années, j'ai vraiment pu voir au fil des éditions du magazine se structurer un véritable écosystème de l'art contemporain que beaucoup de pays de la région nous envient. Il faut savoir que le Maroc est le seul pays à s'être doté de toute l'architecture qui constitue un monde de l'art contemporain depuis l'école, donc l'Institut national des beaux-arts de Tétouan. Il y a aussi l'ESSAV à Marrakech, puisque ça forme des métiers des arts visuels. Il y a l'école de Casablanca aussi. Donc il y a l'école, il y a un magazine, je le dis modestement, mais ce n'est pas le cas de beaucoup de nos voisins qui n'ont pas un magazine qui permet de suivre sur l'année toutes les activités. Il y a des galeries. Il y a cette Fondation nationale des musées aussi qui a doté le pays d'une offre muséale et rénové l'offre muséale de manière assez colossale en 10 ans. Donc nous avons des musées publics, nous avons aussi des institutions privées. Nous avons évidemment, ce qui est très important, nous avons beaucoup d'artistes modernes, anciens, mais aussi des artistes contemporains. Et tout cet écosystème avec aussi des institutions qui financent, qui achètent de l'art. Donc on est un des seuls pays à avoir un écosystème vraiment avec tous les maillons qui jouent leur rôle. Ce revamping de l'offre muséale, j'en parle parce que c'est important de savoir que ça permet aussi de comprendre que le Maroc a vraiment pris conscience de la nécessité de mieux travailler son influence culturelle de l'intérieur et à l'extérieur. Donc je m'explique, de l'intérieur. Les musées marocains aujourd'hui permettent d'avoir comment dire, une conversation globale avec les autres pays des Suds, mais aussi les pays occidentaux, avec des échanges importants, puisqu'aujourd'hui nos musées peuvent accueillir des événements importants, des expositions internationales qui migrent, qui voyagent d'un pays à un autre. Par exemple, en ce moment à Rabat, au musée de la photo, nous accueillons une partie de Biennale Sur, qui est une biennale des Suds, qui nous vient d'Argentine. Donc vous voyez qu'aujourd'hui, les musées jouent pleinement le rôle d'intensificateur de notre diplomatie internationale au plan culturel. Donc en fait, la culture aujourd'hui s'envisage aussi comme une manière de travailler nos relations avec le reste du monde. Donc ça, c'est important de l'intérieur. Et évidemment, à l'extérieur, il faut savoir que ce sera une année importante pour nous, 2024, puisque ce sera la première fois, et je regrette que notre ministre de la Culture, qui s'est exprimé très brillamment tout à l'heure, de ne pas pouvoir le remercier physiquement, si j'ose dire. Mais grâce à son action et à sa vision, nous aurons en 2024 un pavillon marocain à la Biennale de Venise. C'est très important parce que ça permet, dans ce grand événement où les pays disent ce qu'ils sont, ils disent qui ils sont, ils disent de quelle manière ils veulent exercer leur influence sur le reste du monde, nous aurons un pavillon marocain qui montrera le meilleur de l'art contemporain marocain. Donc ça, c'est important. Donc ça, ce sont les forces. Je dirais que peut-être si on devait parler un peu des faiblesses, puisqu'il faut aussi parler un petit peu de ce qui ne fonctionne pas toujours très bien.
En une minute.
Oui, c'est en une minute. C'est, je trouve, l'accompagnement de la scène émergente à la sortie de l'école. Ça, c'est ce dont souffrent tous les pays avec une jeunesse intense et créative. Il faut prendre en main ce moment où les artistes sortent diplômés des écoles et où ils vont être jetés dans le grand bain. Et en principe, ils devraient vivre de leur art. Ils ne seront pas tous artistes à succès. Certains seront peut-être producteurs. Ils feront de la prod pour leurs camarades artistes parce qu'ils sont bons techniquement. Certains, peut-être, travailleront en direction artistique sur des festivals. Certains, peut-être, travailleront dans le jeu vidéo. J'ai entendu tout à l'heure les grandes ambitions de notre pays en matière de jeux vidéo. On aura besoin de gens qui dessinent. Et je peux vous dire qu'au Maroc, on a des gens qui sortent des beaux-arts avec des niveaux en dessin qui sont absolument extraordinaires. On aura besoin de ces artistes dans le gaming. On en aura besoin, peut-être, je ne sais pas, pour faire la mascotte de la Coupe du Monde. Enfin, il faut aujourd'hui que les artistes prennent pleinement part à toute la vie de la société marocaine. Voilà, c'est ce que j'avais à dire.
Merci. Myriam. So I understand that Morocco and Africa actually are on track to reach the objective and to unleash the potential of the creative industries. But I would like to ask you a last question to all, because it's important. It's really in very short and quick word. What will be one crucial, very important recommendation to unleash or to support the creative industry in Morocco, in the region, in Africa? So maybe I will start with you, Brahim.
Well, thank you. Today, Africa represents around 15% of the population worldwide, but it contributes in terms of cultural or creative sector with around 1.5%, which is really not enough. But it began very interesting because in this region, it's growing fast. We are it's growing with around 14 or 15% up, which is very exciting. I think this sector is a crescendo of opportunities. If the institutional and private sector invest not only in infrastructure or equipment, but if they take a risk to invest in content, in cultural content, because at the end, the audience, they are looking for the quality. So we should not begin just a space where we bring content from worldwide, but we should also produce the content of high quality in terms of fashion, cinema, music, etc. And I think there is a huge opportunity in this sector. Thank you.
Maybe Sophia, one recommendation to support or to creative industry or a priority.
As a creator, as a director, it will be I heard lately that we spend a lot of time in the writing process and the creative part, but a lot of time is the production part. And many time we cannot produce what we create because of a lack of money. So I think production is the main is the main challenge for a creator in Africa.
Thank you. Same question. We have like the green light, time's up. Just in 2 words, Myriam.
In 2 words, j'ai envie de dire que quand on parle d'industrie culturelle et créative, on parle de ceux qui créent. Donc il ne faut jamais oublier que tout ça, on ne serait pas là s'il n'y avait pas les artistes. Et puisqu'on est à l'UM6P, j'ai envie de dire, je crois que parfois quand on n'arrive pas à résoudre un problème scientifique, il faut demander de l'aide aux artistes, qui ont toujours des intuitions intéressantes. Voilà, il faut remettre les artistes au cœur des réflexions.
Sabrina.
Je suis assez d'accord et je vais me permettre de répondre en français. C'est juste pour être plus précis aussi dans la pensée, parce que c'est vrai que c'est l'industrie culturelle, on en parle en termes d'industrie, mais c'est aussi parce que ça nous permet d'embrasser la complexité des choses. Alors on sait que c'est pas dans l'air du temps et qu'on a envie de tout modéliser sur des marchés et des courbes, mais pour moi la culture c'est aussi un moyen de retrouver cet équilibre-là. Et en termes de point crucial, je mettrai la reconnaissance de l'entreprise culturelle, parce que pour le moment au Maroc on n'a pas un statut spécifique à cela. Et pourquoi c'est important? Parce qu'en fait on a vraiment un cœur d'activité qui est quand même assez différent, notamment quand on parle d'accès au financement. C'est pas toujours une question de finance en fait, c'est souvent une question de compréhension de la nature du risque. Et les entreprises culturelles par nature, elles ont des assets qui sont intangibles. Et donc la créativité, qui est notre bien premier, est un bien intangible. Donc c'est pour ça que c'est très important qu'on puisse avoir un statut qui identifie, qui valorise, qui visibilise les entrepreneurs culturels et qui ensuite peut-être diversifie aussi les instruments de financement qui sont à disponibilité. Parce que pour le moment au Maroc, on a principalement un modèle subventionniste, mais on pourrait s'inspirer d'autres secteurs. Voilà, pour diversifier ce
Merci beaucoup, merci à tous les panélistes. On pourrait continuer, et d'ailleurs on peut continuer cette conversation évidemment par la suite, après le prochain, après le concert et évidemment le prochain panel. Merci beaucoup pour votre attention.
All right. So we have a few minutes while we figure out what our next panel is going to be. So I'm going to do roll call. I want to know who is in the room. Since this is the World Bank IMF meetings, I know that we have a strong contingency from Morocco. So if you are here from Morocco, please give a show, applause. I know we have more Moroccans here. Okay. Panel 3. Okay, what about Southern Africa? Do we have anybody from Southern Africa in the room represented? No Southern Africa? Okay. What about West Africa? Okay, all right. We know we've got some West Africa. And lastly, East Africa. Is East Africa in the house? Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, so now that we're a little bit more energized, we can move to our last panel, panel 3, which will be moderated by Maiko Miyake, the manager for Market Advisory Unit for Northwest and Central Africa at the IFC. Maiko will be joined by Kenneth Kim, professor at Hanyang University, Erica. Isioma Adigbe, partner at Pohuko, attorney and solicitors. Jonathan Olsberg, founder and executive chair at Olsberg SPI. Siham El Faydi, general director at Concept MENA Group. And Stan McCoy, president and managing director at the Motion Picture Association of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Akuna. Hello, everyone. I hope you had a little bit of time to shift your weight a little bit, stretch your legs a little bit. Yes. Well, today we have spoken about the opportunities for financing, and some very concrete examples came from IFC and IFC's partners. And then we also talked about the challenges and opportunities in Morocco, but I felt it's not only about Morocco. I think that challenges mentioned were probably shared by many other countries. So before you leave, I actually would like us to also talk about the future. What are we going to co-create? What could the entrepreneurs and the government do together to create a better enabling environment for the future of creative industries? So our panel is going to be about that. So please do stay with us. We have also seen so many different verticals of the creative industries today. And in order for us to be a little bit more focused in this panel, we will be talking about the film and TV production segment of the creative industries. So with that, I have a distinguished guest here. I would like to start with Jonathan. You have a very long experience and history in working in the film and TV production industry in many different capacities. Maybe you can tell us a little bit of that. And you've worked all over the world. So what are you seeing in terms of the key decision-making factors on deciding on the locations for film production?
Thank you very much, and thank you to IFC and the university for the invitation to come here. I'm going to talk about something that Senor Pimenta mentioned earlier, which was smart public policies to generate activity, production activity in a particular country, and then I'll come on to the individual project issues. We wrote a report on best practice in public policy to grow the sector, which I'll put on our website on Monday. So if you search our company on Monday, you'll find this report. It's called Best Practices in Public Policy for the Film Production Sector. But basically, there are four pillars of policy that a country or a region would need to have in place in order to be able to attract these mobile and important productions. And it's very clear that many governments around the world, national, supranational, regional, municipal, have started to recognize the range of benefits that hosting these productions delivers. Economic, of course, cultural, social, tourism, soft power, etc. And that's why there's been this explosion of attractive policies in different countries to bring production. So there are four pillars, as I said, that policy needs to address to make a country attractive. The first is what I would call general film friendliness, which means that the regulations and the laws of the country are very open to having productions come and shoot there. Because quite often productions can be disruptive, they need to close streets, they need sometimes to move people around very quickly, and they need quite often a film commission to help all that move forward. So, being open for business, being appealing to international productions to come is the first pillar. The second pillar is to have a skilled workforce that can be involved in all of the crew positions in producing content. These are jobs that are extremely attractive. By and large, they're very well paid, they're highly productive, they're highly mobile, they often appeal to young people who want to come into the industry and enjoy it. And also, certainly in terms of the sort of manufacturing side of filmmaking, they are less at risk from AI and robotics than other jobs. So many of the governments that are stimulating this sector have jobs in mind. The third pillar is the physical infrastructure available in the country or region. Here I'm talking about sound stages, studios, and essentially the supply chain of equipment and services that are needed to host a production. So we've got film friendliness, we've got the workforce, and we've got physical infrastructure. The final pillar is one that has become a major successful public policy tool over the last 10 or 15 years, and that's to put in place a fiscal automatic production incentive. These are sometimes referred to as tax incentives or tax credits. In many countries these days, it's structured as a cash rebate, and essentially what this is a return to the incoming production of a proportion, a percentage of the money they spend. I've heard this kind of investment referred to as subsidizing production. I don't think that's the case for a minute. This is all about investing in order to get a return. And I can speak later on, if necessary, about how to assess the value of those returns. Although the publication that I mentioned earlier on our website on Monday will have that for you. In terms of what do individual productions look for, there's a whole decision tree that they go through. They start off with the creative issues of the piece, what kind of locations they need, what about the look of the people, what sort of buildings, and that determines the first sort of part of selection. The second is budgeting the actual on-the-ground costs of what the production might need in terms of budget. And then the incentive, if there is one, comes into play to serve to reduce those costs. There's quite a few other smaller elements, but those are the major ones that I would suggest are the most potent.
Thank you, Jonathan. Kenneth, you have been the practitioner and now an academia of the creative industries of Korea that probably many of us are very fond of. So could you please tell us a little bit of the history of the development of Korea's creative industry from the policy perspective?
Sure. It take a while, but let me just put it in a short term that I want to introduce a term called Hallyu. Some of you may have heard, and Han mean in Korea, and Yu mean a wave. So it means Korean wave, and it means that the rise of the Korean pop culture kind of took the world by storm very quickly. And as you may have seen, Parasite winning Oscar and Squid Game being one of the most watched series in Netflix, and BTS topping the charts and billboards. I just want to ask you, anybody seen Squid Game? Okay, so next one's coming out next year. And I noticed that in Netflix, even in Morocco, the #1 film right now is Ballerina. I don't know whether you've seen it or not. I saw it before I came here. So I think it's kind of interesting that it's carrying around the world, but it actually started about 30 years ago. So that's when it was recognized in Asia as a K-drama, but K-pop after that it took it in a bigger regions, including Europe and America and even in Africa. So it's an interesting phenomenon, but it's not an overnight sensation, and it took years of dedication and series of challenges. Just going back further, you may know that Korea went through a Korean War in 1950, and after that, it was considered like a third world country and had a GDP which was 40 times lower than that of India. And that the challenges kept on until 1980s, and it was very challenging for politically as well as economically. So Korea put in they really focused on the exports. So they wanted to expand the economy. But it was when Korea also was in a recession during Asian crisis. So we turned to IMF for support, but that's when they started to recognize the importance of investing in technology as well as the creative industry. So how they did that, in a president meeting, they kind of put it in a simple word by recognizing Jurassic Park. So box office of the Jurassic Park was just as big as exporting 1.5 million cars by Hyundai Motors. So that really got the attention. And that's when Korean government started putting in different organizations to support the industry. And in order to support the industry, they formed it in an arm's length principle. So they will support, but they will not intervene with the creative of the industry. So that's how they did that for years and years. And that kind of carried on a few years. So to some degree, some say the success of Hallyu, as I've said, Korean Wave, maybe it's private sector that supported, and maybe it's charm of the creative, but also support of the public policy, how Korean government supported the creative industry, also incentivized some of the private sector to invest in this creative industry. So all of the combined public policy was a very key factor of this development.
Thank you, Kenneth. Siham, you have been in both the production and the distribution of film here in Morocco, but also in the Middle East. And I'm sure you have seen some good models, but what have you seen in terms of opportunities and challenges in the policy area for growing this industry?
I had the chance to work on implementing several cultural projects for more than 15 years in different Moroccan cities and international cities, namely Safi, Casablanca, Marrakesh, Tangier, Dubai, Beirut, Egypt, and many others. Based on that, I believe that there is a strategic reasons why Africa's TV, film, fashion, arts, digital content, sports, and gaming industries are the future for Morocco's economic growth. It's important to highlight that Africa is the youngest continent on the planet, and it is experiencing a demographic boom, which pushes me to believe that the most challenging factors for developing creative industries in my country, it's the improper management of its human resources, particularly its emergent talents and the adequate accompanying measures that decision policymakers take to accomplish this goal. And this is the most important and big challenge. To elaborate a little bit on this, there is a lack of awareness in regards to the huge potential of creative and cultural industries in generating value. As an example, the film industry in Morocco has always been perceived by policymakers, of course, as a loss-making sector. In addition, the actors of this industry are not always able to bring together all the stakeholders to build a solid ecosystem which eventually impacts the decision of emergent talents to consider the creative industries, entertainment industries as a secured, profitable, and sustainable career for their future. Luckily in Morocco, and I can proudly say that Moroccan policymakers have made tremendous efforts in building cultural infrastructures. However, we are still lacking the adequate professional skills and profile who will have the expertise on the ground and the necessary knowledge about the reality of the Moroccan territories. Another challenge that we face is the lack in the skilled professionals in technical areas of the different sectors of creative industries. For example, storytelling techniques, editing, 3D animation techniques, lighting engineers, and the list goes on. But at the same time, there's a lot of talents emerging in the digital world. They are making great efforts in creating their own projects and audience, and this is very, very important. They are building their own ecosystem far from the traditional one. And here is, the challenge and the opportunity. We definitely need to make a bridge between the two worlds by encouraging public-private partnerships. That's why I always emphasize on the importance to promote the talents of tomorrow via 3 axes: professional training, inclusion, and employability, which I'm currently implementing in the Arts Factory program, a program that will never succeed without the involvement of the policy decision maker, and in our case, ones of Casablanca State region. We need to bring talents with creative idea, teach them, train them, and support them to make their skills stronger, creating a connection between these talents and the professionals of our markets in order to develop together a real innovative ecosystem. We must bring actors also from the cultural, digital, and creative world in order to facilitate exchange, collaboration, I will finish, don't worry, with the new generations, in order to support projects that stimulate creativity, promote creation, and democratize culture. To conclude, it is crucial to establish a positive ecosystem based on profitable business models that are sustainable and human. It's okay.
Thank you, Siham. Isioma, you are the intellectual property rights experts. We have already heard in the first panel how that topic is important in shaping the industry. So could you give us a little bit of a breakdown of the intellectual property rights? And I know you are from Nigeria, which is a big powerhouse of creative industries. Maybe what does that intellectual property rights mean in the context of your country?
Thank you very much, and thank you to the IFC and UM6P for having me here this evening. Just quickly, because I know we're out of time, I think I don't need to go into the technicalities of intellectual property. I think we have a broad idea of what that means in this context. And as this conversation is focused on the audiovisual sectors, I just want to talk about some of the challenges that are arising as regards intellectual property and how those challenges are inhibiting the sector from actually reaching its potential. Some of the challenges really lie in a lack of understanding by local players about their intellectual property rights and how they can leverage those intellectual property rights to essentially generate cash flows and revenue. And you find this challenge a lot when you're advising either investors or even clients in this space. So there's a need to understand, especially when you're talking about the audiovisual sector, this is a sector that is engaging with almost all the intellectual properties that you can think about, and ensuring that, one, you have actually acquired the rights that you need to be able to exploit your work, and that when you have those rights, you protect those rights. So when you go into the issue of protection, that is another challenge. It is quite challenging to enforce your rights. If we look at it in the backdrop of the AFCTA treaty that is coming in principle, right, when we're looking at the audiovisual sector and we're looking at its growth, one thing that I keep hearing in all the panels is that the biggest opportunity for African audiovisual sector is the ability for all the countries to be interacting with themselves and to be trading with themselves and to be engaging in business in this sector together. And if there isn't a harmonization of the intellectual property laws across the continent, then enforcement is going to be a challenge. And I think that needs to be prioritized. How do we harmonize our IP laws on the continent to make enforcement easier? There's also a need to update the laws. So in Nigeria, we only just this year had the Copyright Act 2022 passed, and that had things like updating about digital infringement, which is a new concept that has arisen from technology advancements that was not considered under existing law. It also brought in acknowledging neighboring rights like performance rights, which when you look at the audiovisual sector is a major issue. But in many countries across the continent, you don't have those updates to the law that are very much needed. Thank you. Because of time, I'll stop here.
Thank you. I know that the Akuna is going to do an announcement that there is a little bit of a change of a plan. That is the reason why we need to shorten this session. So I am going to ask Stan for helping us to conclude this session, and I'm going to be greedy and ask two questions in one. One is just to build on what Isioma said. you are in a position of discussing with the government in Europe, Middle East, Africa on this issue all the time. So could you tell us why is it important from your vantage point? What this securitization of IP means in the context? And then just wanted to come back on what Jonathan mentioned earlier about the incentives. You have come across many of them, I imagine. So could you please share your thoughts, and then we will conclude with that.
Yeah, absolutely happy to do that. I'll be brief. First, I have to begin by saying thank you to the government and people of Morocco for being welcoming of international film and television production. Morocco is a great place to make film and television. If you want to see some evidence of the results of that, go watch Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You see a fantastic action sequence shot here in Morocco, but also series like The Wheel of Time, The Witcher, shot here in Morocco. So Morocco is a model in many respects of what we look for in a great place to make film and television. It's all about this industry managing risk, right? There's intrinsic risk and extrinsic risk. There's very high intrinsic risk in film and television because every project is a prototype. And honestly, there are a lot of failures. So it's the job of the producer to make sure that there are more successes than failures. And that's what they do. What makes them lose sleep are the extrinsic risks. Those are risks like the risk of losing your work to piracy and the risk of encountering regulatory barriers that make it impossible for you to do business. So it's the job of governments to manage those kinds of risks, both intrinsic and extrinsic. How do they do that? Well, they do that with wise public policy. Certainly incentives are one example of that. Copyright protection is another example of that. Soma's covered copyright protection very well already, so I won't dwell on that one. But on the front of incentives, really important to what we call the greenlighting process, the process of deciding where to make film and television, because that process goes project by project and it depends on getting the numbers right. So a strong production incentive like the 30% rebate here in Morocco can really help with that process of making the numbers work and prompting a major international producer to take that risk. In addition to that aspect, I think it's also very important as a concluding point to say, ironically, the path to vibrancy in the creative sectors goes through boring public policy. And what I mean by that is that we like in our industry for all the drama to be up there on the screen, and for none of the drama to be in the legal department or in the accounting department. So what government can do for us in this industry is just be boring. Just make the law work as it's written, enforce the law as it's written, pay the rebates as they're promised in the law, and have a regulatory environment that works as it's supposed to. And that kind of boring, straightforward public policy is absolutely a gift to the film and television industries.
Well, thank you very much, Stan, for that final word. Boring might be, but I would give on behalf of IFC, well, Bill is here, so I hope he will support me saying this. IFC stands by you all, the practitioners of the creative industries, to advocate for the better and smarter public policy for the creative industries. So thank you very much for being here with us, and thank you for the audience.
Thank you, Maiko. Okay, never a dull moment at the Unleashing Creative Industries event. We are actually going to move locations for an exciting fireside chat featuring Maktar Diop, the managing director of the IFC. We will have Naila Tazi of the Federation, and George Gachara of the Heaver Fund. We are going to the first floor. There will be hosts in the back to guide you to the Taradant room on the first floor. So we'll just head out for the fireside chat featuring Makta Diop, Naila Tazi, and George Gachara.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming out. I'm going to do a very quick introduction. She did a pretty good job. So it's been, like she said, it's been such a short time since we've known each other and we've had the chance to actually make music together. It's a bunch of phenomenal women right here, and I'm going to introduce them very quickly, but you have to wait for me because I have to grab my phone. There you go, okay, so there. On the piano, we have Kara Jamaima. She's all the way from Nigeria. And then right next to her, we have Seni Kamara. On the kora, and she's all the way from Senegal. And then right next to her, we have Kalam, and she's on the kunde. She's all the way from Burkina Faso. You can clap louder, don't be afraid. And then here on the percussions, we have Abigail. Please give it up, she's from Ghana. And right here, we have Marina Siga. She's all the way from Senegal, and she's on the guitar. Last but certainly not least, on the bass, we have Victoire, and she's from Benin. Please give it up. I will not forget myself. My name is Johanna. I'm from Ethiopia, and I will be your vocalist tonight. And also, thank you so much for the University Mohammed VI for having us here. It has been a pleasure working here and a pleasure to perform in front of you guys. Thank you so much.
Munafiki bara,
ngambi sankeli muyo Lufija Khiro be maneyo Lufija Ngayo be Yalay maye Boko nangoyo Dosona Tasahol Dumasaje Sonda mai, tana wa mai, anna buya jitabu, jote no. Kana kumba. አሃዱ አለችኝ ሁሉም አንድ ነው ስትል ነገረችኝ አሁ 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 እኛም አይኖቹ መልእክቱ አዱ መገለጫው ብዙ Tabali, Merci beaucoup.
Certaines personnes font du mal pour se faire plaisir. Dieu a dit de s'aimer, mais pourquoi tout ça là? Aimer son prochain, c'est le mieux de vivre ensemble. Ambe Mansuria et la mietta. Ni mamia, atono faya buraye. Ni mamia, atono faya buraye. Tom ya griner bi mormi mangurai. Atono faya buraye. Tom ya zira savel de mi urodo. Atono faya buraye. Naba when nana pani rawaya to yula arane ev. Ni mamya atono faya puwa rawaya kamba baye yaba yemre. Fo baya mamba, fo maya mama, fo kema mam kema, fo yomam yomengi. Fo baya mamba, fo maya mama. Mam kima, for your mum, your mengi. For by mama, for by mama, for by mama kima, for your mum, your mengi. Burkina Tumarala, Ororam ya Tumarala, Mali ya Tumarala, Senegal Tumarala, Niger Tumarala, Nigeria ya Tumarala, Ghana ya Tumarala, Benin ya Tumarala, Togo ya Tumarala, Ethiopia Tumarala, Maroc Tumarala, ya Tumarala, ya Tumarala, ya Tumarala, Manela, ya Tumarala, ya Tumarala, Ya fais-moi.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to introduce, this is from your home. And I'm going to welcome to the stage Asma Hamzawi. Please put your hands together for her.
مرحبا بكم. السلام عليكم. بعدا كاينين شي قناوه هنا ولا والو؟ موجودين ياك. مرحبا بكم. مرحبا بكم. قناوه. اللهم صل عليك يا رسول الله، اللهم صل عليك يا حبيب الله، يا جاه النبي يا مولاي محمد الحبيب. افرحوا بينا ابو الله الله داوينا انقاج عنقا ابو الله يرحم Merci. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, mesdames et messieurs.